Hi, it's me again. Yes, I am Dr. Kenneth Nance, and it's a pleasure to always come into your space after you've pressed that play, whatever time, how many times. But it's really good to know that there is some enlightenment and revelation and encouragement that has been experienced by you as viewers, and I really want to implore that you will continue to give me some feedback. Remember, put it in the columns. You can. I think there's a comment column there on the site, and also nationmind2021 at gmail.com. Take note again. nationmind2021 at gmail.com. That's not hard, is it? So you could send me a note of that, and I will certainly want to engage you. And ideas for our next season, which starts in September. So please let me know what's happening and how you feel and what you want to know, what's on the learning curve. But we continue today as we are capping off this series here, looking at this whole context of you and the imagery and understanding how we are working out our very selves. Yes, and I know that you have been very inspired by our last podcast and looking at the whole context of identifying who you are and looking at the fact that there is so much to learn in terms of the fact of identity, who your origin, and looking for where you came from. And I want you to really pay attention to so that some of the behaviors or some of the realities that you have, you don't just want to blame it and own it and react to it, but you want to identify with it and see where it takes you and how you can bring change and understand what's going on. We are environment, and we looked a lot about with that, and we looked at the education system and how it has impacted you in terms of learning. We talked last week a bit about spirituality and the inner consciousness, and we also talked about the issue of belief systems, how we get to know and believe what we say we believe and who we are. And we looked at the issue of being educated and wanting not just to go to school, but wanting to really have education. We realize that most of us have the formal, or rather the informal education between 0 and 3, that is impacting. And some of us lose that. Some of us don't even want to reflect on that. But that is your foundation. That's 0 to 3. That mommy and daddy and auntie with that finger pointing and educating you. As I said, you didn't know how to spell, you didn't know how to read, but you know what the shoe was, the bread was, the bed was. You know what the potty was, you know what the diaper, you knew these things. You know who mommy and daddy was. You could call, and you were able to say mommy and daddy. You identified through that kind of learning. In the formative years between 3, which was kindergarten, all the way up to secondary school or even just tertiary education, higher learning, we realize that there's been a shift. It's about you not being told what you should go find to learn. And even though I tell you, you still have to continue to read. But is it that you lose that connectivity between teacher and yourself, and understanding the role of identifying and being inquisitive and adventurous and learning and being creative. All those things were diminished. I shouldn't say taken away. And so that we looked at that and understand how that interrupted your whole growth and didn't speak well in terms of all that you would have examined in terms of your belief systems, and understand what it is that we are looking at in terms of what we are considering ethical, in terms of how it affects you and how it affects your continuum, where you're going, how you're going, how is it identified. And it's important to understand that. I want to look at today, that's something that is so vital for us in terms of where we are where we are going and what we are doing. And I know it is important for you. As I said, we looked at the home. We looked at the home in terms of family of origin. We came all the way down to your family. We looked at your education system. We did the environment. But it is where it takes you. Where we all going? You know, when Mommy and Daddy started off, their thought, and I'm not, see, this is not just an assumption, it's a reality. Where would you be? Where would you be next 20 years? We look at our child in arms and we say, wow. We look at our child, toddlers and creeping and running around the house, and we say, school. But school was, you see, again, we have to look at the fact that it is not just a matter of being educated. It's a matter of the fact that we would send it so that we can get a job in our young adult days and even adult days, so that we were being prepped for a national perspective. And we didn't know that. We call it employment. But you see, most of us would have moved out of our communities and our villages into that space where we call town or city. And so that there was a traveling to and fro home, you know, to get to where. Now, we traveled to go to school. Some of us, even if we had to walk in our villages. But it was not the concept or the mind of your parents, except there was a shop that you know that it was generational, that the granny had it and my daddy had it, and now I must have it. But if it's more than one child, how many of these children are going to want to have this shop or can have this one shop? And so therefore, if you had a shop or business or garden and you felt that you had to take it over, but the majority of people went outside of the village, of the communities, into what we call that bigger world, and came into that city and had to learn how to work this national context. It is quite interesting. Excuse me here. It is quite interesting of how we have to create that transition and to bring ourselves into that place where we are understanding how to identify with this bigger space. Now, the space always got bigger. From home, that nice little home that you had, and I say little, that could be euphemism, but that home that you had, whether it was 4 bedrooms, 2, it was a yard that maybe was just 100 by something, or a yard that was 1,000 by something, or 5,000 square feet. You know, we have different sizes of yards, but it was your yard. You moved into into kindergarten, and that was a little 2 rooms or 3 rooms, and you had a few runarounds, and then you went into primary school. Wow, a big building, much yard, playing field, and then you went into secondary school, and it seems to be getting bigger and bigger. And are we really learning how to adjust to these new spaces? And then we went into secondary school, and wow, each classroom seemed to be big. And I'm not staying in this one classroom. I have to go to several classrooms and several people coming to me, and there's this kind of change. And then I look outside and I see that it's not just ultra tiny. Well, and I use a little tiny in comparison, a couple of square feet, and there's a little yard. No, there's big space here. There's a football field, and there's a other field, and there's tennis courts, and wow, and the cafeteria is huge, and ooh, some of us have 2 cafeterias and space. And then we go to university. Wow, ooh. And I you know, my faculty, their faculties, where are they? You know, you just don't know them. And so it's important for us to really appreciate the diversities that are in front of us and how we are transitioning without even knowing. And some of us have not learned to transition even in that context of space. So we hit outside of university and we go into that bus or that car and drive into that city, and we see these huge buildings, and you choose one where you call employment, and you walk in there and you find the employer and you become the employee. Wow, it's more than just school. What has my education done here, and how do I fit into this national space? What's my relevance here? And for some of us, it's just a matter of getting money. So I come and I work my 8 to 4, or I work my 9 to 5, I work my hours and I go. And I come back again. And that routine it becomes a part of my norm. And of course, in the month end, I look for my pay slip and I go to the bank and I get money and I shop and I pay my bills and I'm happy. But the issue is here. What I want you to look at is how relevant am I within this space? What am I doing with a national context? Am I really being national? Am I establishing myself to make an impact and influence the people around me? Or am I just to flitter in there, hide, do my job and get back out to my village where I hide again? So I want us to realize that it is important for us to begin to identify that when we are growing up, parents especially have to begin to tell their children and put their children in a position where they are going to affect and be effective from at a national perspective. And I think most of us don't seem to want to grow into that. So that when we get out there and there's these diversities and all kinds of different dynamics and modalities, etc., we don't know how to work it. And that's why some people scringe, some people run away, some people then fight. And so if we have all kinds of indecencies and mishaps and misfortunes when people start to steal to get what they want, or to have what we call white-collar crime, and all kinds of mischiefs and delinquencies and attacks, because we don't know how to fit, and we feel everybody's coming against us. And you know, in our village we had a few streets perpendicular and parallel, but now it's just so many streets, and then we have all these other things called roundabouts, and the buildings are tall, and it's not just one story or upstairs and downstairs anymore. It's 5 stories, and I'm looking down and wow, it can be exhausting. It can be exhausting. How do I fit? And one of the things that blinds us is that socioeconomic factor. The kind of money I'm working for and who I want to be. I meet new people who says, come and go here, come and go there. Let's buy this, let's go shopping, let's go for a drink. I can't. I am not working for them. There's an objective for this job. I am saving for, I'm doing this for. But yet I am pressed, almost bullied, to be somebody else, to identify with a particular kind of people. And I need to learn how to work that. And yet nobody teaches me. Oh, yes, this is no longer secondary school. This doesn't even, I was pressed into what can I say, into a fever trying to get through the SEA, or for us older ones, common entrance. And then we went into secondary school, and it was that 5-year period, and at the end of which we had GCU, now we have CAPE and CSEC, and we are pressed into higher education, and we have to get a degree, and we have to do this, and we are pressed, and we only see that, and all of a sudden, there's no more paper, there's no more learning. In that very space, it's a job which I have to learn without exams, maybe. There's some people who may still have to do some kind of assessment, but I am expected to achieve, and I'm expected to produce. But what am I producing? How does it fit into my education? How does it fit into my socioeconomic upbringing from my home, my village, where we were told, I can't give you this, you can't eat this, you can't buy that, we don't have enough money. But yet I'm out here, people are competing with my no money and I not enough money because they have, and I want more, and how do I get more? And I am pushed again into this frame of trying to fit. Wow. It's called stress. Yes, for some of us. And I want to breathe here for a little while and really appreciate that these dynamics are real. These are things that we are not taught, and I really wish, maybe, as I said, we can go back here and revisit some of this and learn a bit about those dynamics that are putting us into the frame where we can manage our development. Yes, development. It's from the infant to the toddler, to the child, to to the preteen, to the teen, to the young adult, to the adult. Of course, we can go on, midlife, and then we go to later life. But there is that development. And are we really in sync in terms of how we are seeing ourselves, not just in that village, excuse me, not just in that little village, but I must begin to see myself coming out of that village to bigger things. And I really want, let me go back a little bit here, to help me help you. Please, as you listen to me here, if you haven't yet, as your parents with young children or children who are in secondary school or going to higher, begin to take them out. Drive through down to the city. Let them see the bigger picture. Let them know this is where you're going to end up. Because some of us cry, oh, this place, this school, so much rooms, and I'm not able, and it's space. And do you know when they get into the higher learning environment, they really shrivel up again because they're not accustomed. And the thoughts and the ideologies and the philosophies that keep coming at you different. This is not what mommy tell me. This is what my grand. We don't do it so. And it's you. And then you're being bullied. I want to use that word. So you don't believe that? You never hear about that? Where you come from? Where you learn? Where you live in? What school you went to? So every facet of your life is being challenged because you didn't know how to fit with these differences that are real in front of you in what is called the workplace. And I want you to see that it really presses you into a place of isolation where you begin to define for your own self what you want, how you're going to get it, and nobody's part of this. So I'm in the office as an individual. There's no participation, and if I do, I have an objective again because I may want to get a job, so I need to smile a little more. But there's no reality of a smile in my heart because I just want to make sure I protect myself. So I give myself added stressor. So in any event, who am I? By the time I reach 30, 40, who am I? Well, what's happening here? Yes, I may have worked for these for 10 years or more, but what am I achieving for me as an individual? And it's important for me to see that this is not just the issue of having that secured future, trying to define the socioeconomic problem in terms of money and making sure I have assets and no liabilities. It's about me as a person growing up, developing in a bigger world than the one in the village. And I have to learn to fit here. I have to learn to understand that this environment really puts me in a place where I have to be, again, living. And how do I live? How do I breathe? No, do remember, as we grow older and as we get into these professions or vocations and get into this world of work, we are also extending ourselves in terms of the psychologies and how we are pressured, and I use the word stress just now, how we have to learn to combat, we have to learn to fit, and that breaks us into a place where our brain is overwired, trying to make sure we don't lose the job, or our performance appraisal is not negative. So that we are working with that system and we're not realizing that me as a person need to be alive. So where's the things that, the factors that are going to keep me alive and keep me flowing? Where's my recreation? Where's the leisure time? Where's my me time where I can repair and regroup and re-establish myself for future? Where is that time? How do I fit that time? And I want us to be aware that, as I mentioned those two words, leisure and recreation, those are important. And you can find that in terms of not just at home, but to see when I get back home, do I have time to refresh in terms of going out somewhere and having a coffee, going to a movie, going to visit friends? I can't. I have to get home. I've been out all day. I'm exhausted. I have to get ready for tomorrow. So there's always a way to get rid of it. It's until when something negative happens, you're overweight or there's some illness and you have to overcome that, and there's exercise and there's nutrition, and all of a sudden we get a little educated. But it is not just about you reacting to issues. It's for us to have the understanding that I am in a new environment and I need to set myself in a place where I can perform adequately, I can perform efficiently and effectively. I must be relevant. And so that I need to learn again how to work this environment and work it for my good, to press as I develop, not to be pushed, not to feel pushed, but to continue to press on, overcoming and working beautifully in this environment to accomplish me. But I can get home with all the exhaustion maybe of traveling or the day's work. I can still get home and have that R word, relax. Talk to my family. Go out a little bit with them. Whether it is to the grocery store to get something to eat, just to visit a friend. I must look and see and understand where I was for the entire day is not where I am now. How do I get back home and work this? And I have something I share this with you. You know, when you leave on mornings, you are fresh. Anywhere you go, even at school, you're fresh. You know, when you go to school, now you're going to work. You had a bath, you know, you dress up nice, you look spiffy, jump in your vehicles, and you go. Vitality. Who's coming home? Look at it. Who's coming home? Oh my gosh, I'm tired. Oh no. Who's coming home? So all your energy is expended. And you get home. And you really want to do anything. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to talk to anybody. But somebody must talk to you. For you with children, with you who have no children, with parents, how was your day? What's going on? You have no time. You want to see a bed. You want to have a shower. You just want to relax. You don't want to talk. You'll be talking whole day. So you see, we have to learn how to refit. So it's important, like when you get home, give yourself, tell people, look, for the first 30 minutes or so, don't call me. I just want to breathe and regroup. I'm coming back. But you see, if I start doing something, if you want me to begin immediately, you may not like what you get. It may not be wholesome. Because especially, you know, the head teacher leaves as parent or husband or wife and kiss, have a good day, everybody, and they leave jolly good and they go and they come back. They come back with all that workload, try all that assessment, all those things in the brain, and they walk in the house and, hi, not now. Pick up that thing. Go ahead. So that big world, that big city life of it really impacts us negatively if we do not know how to manage it for me and for the continuum of my life, which I call development. So I want you to really be embracing these thoughts and come into that place where we can identify truly this position and understand that I need to begin to analyze that I am in a space that is national. There's a voice. What do I contribute? How do I contribute this? I must be forthright in me. I must not just see this thing as a job to establish some socioeconomic platform or position, trying to be somebody and get some money. No. It's about me living and being relevant within that space, learning to breathe, learning to have leisure time, recreation, and enjoying the fact that when I leave home and I come back, I must have that continuum of family life without that reaction of my own stressors. Learning to handle it. So those are things we have to talk about. And I will really read. I will sit with like how you are doing and go over some of these, hear it again, and see what I can pull out to really satisfy our human development. It's important that we realize that we are pressed beyond measure for that mighty dollar. Yes, you want a food. Yes, you want a piece of land. Yes, you want a house. But please, you have a life. And there's so much more that you can achieve and accomplish as we continue to establish this. So Dr. Kenneth saying, it was great, and it's always great, and I'm going to see you soon again. But it's important for you to remember, you have a life. The reality is, don't lose it. Live it. Be effective, be relevant. God bless you, and have a great week.